This is Jaime Nelson, and she'll be giving a presentation to us entitled, "You Finished Writing Your Novel, Now What?"
Hi everyone, I'm Jaime, as I said, and I am studying creative writing here. I'm a senior, and I have been writing pretty much forever, short stories usually. Within the last few years I've been getting into long fiction, and long fiction you can call it novels, novellas. I feel like the word novel sounds like it's something that's automatically publish-worthy, but that's not necessarily true. It can be something that's just between 80 and 100,000 words. But my fourth novel is called Riff, and I started it 2 years ago. It's on its third draft, and the basic premise is it's about a 13-year-old who triggers the apocalypse by playing his guitar. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because this presentation isn't about my novel, it's about the art of revision. So just to test the waters, how many people here have written a book, are writing a book, or plan to write a book? Okay, now put your hands up again if that book or one of those books are fiction. Okay. The reason I ask is because this presentation is specific to fiction and specific to novels. It doesn't mean that a lot of these things can't be applied to short stories, poems, nonfiction. It's just I used a fiction novel as a case study, so that's sort of the shape that this presentation is going to take. Why revision? As a creative writing student, I could have done a presentation on how to start writing, how to get ideas. I could have done a presentation on how to publish, how to find an agent. I chose revision because although it's as important as those two ends of the spectrum, I feel like it's something that gets glossed over more. I'll hear lectures where people talk about how to go from having not written anything to seeing your book on the shelf. And they'll talk extensively on how to start, like get into the habit of writing every day, how to develop plot, that sort of thing. And then they'll just say, and then you sit down and write your book. And then they'll go into another long spiel on how to get published and how to find an agent and different types of publication. And just saying that you sit down and write your book makes it sound like you literally sit down, write a book, and then you send it off to get published. And that's not true at all. There's a lot of revision that goes into it. And I feel like serious writers really need to know what revision really is. You might hear someone say that they published their book after the 10th draft. And people have never tried it before. I go, wow, 10 drafts, that's crazy. I can never have the patience for that. And people who write for a living, they'll say, oh wow, just 10 drafts, that's nothing. So I hope that everyone here is ready for the reality of revision. I'm just going to brush the edges of it because I know that not everyone here is a writer who wants to hear every single detail on how to become a better reviser. But if you are one of those people, I have this website here. Just pass around a few of these. Pass those around, and that has the web address for this website, which is where I put together all of my research notes in an organized list for you. I'm not going to go through all these little details, just let you know it's there. I'm going to talk a little bit about my methods, how I went about researching revision. The first thing that I did was I read a lot. I read craft books inside and outside of class. I also started reading in my genre, which was not something I was already doing and I should have been. I also researched the publishing industry and literary markets. I had some background in it already from interning at a publishing house, going to writers' conferences, lectures, internet research, that sort of thing. But I did a bit more of that. I also did some hands-on research. I took the second draft of Riff and I sent it out to 10 people to get full critiques. Now when you're looking for people to critique, there's a couple things you want to take into consideration. A is you want to find people you trust, obviously. But you also want to find people who represent a very diverse set. You want to find readers who do read your genre, readers who don't read your genre, writers who do write your genre, writers who don't write your genre, people of different cultural backgrounds, ages. Hopefully you can find someone with some sort of authority on writing, like a writing professor, someone who has their book published, someone in the industry, that sort of thing. So that's what I did. I sent out draft 2, I got 10 full feedback critiques, and then I wrote draft 3. And I took draft 3 and I hired an editor with grant money from the university, so thank you, UWL. Her name is Meredith Efkin. She runs the Fiction Fix-It shop in Omaha, Nebraska, and I had a really good experience with this. She was very willing to work within my budget and my time frame, and she also gave me a lot of really good feedback. I wanted to hire an editor for a few reasons. The obvious one being that I want to make a better manuscript, but I'm also interested in publishing that industry, and I want to know what an editor actually would give you, like the format it comes in, what they're specifically looking for. And the third reason was because it wasn't coming out of my pocket. It is an expensive deal. Do I recommend that every serious writer gets a freelance editor? No. I think that it's not something that's for everyone and for everyone at every stage of their writing development. You also get a free editor if you get a book deal, and you've been saying something in a query letter to an agent like, will you please represent my book? Here's the reasons it's good. Oh, by the way, it's especially good because I hired an editor to look over it. That actually looks unprofessional because they know that you should know that you'll get one for free if you get the book deal. Now it becomes a paradox when you realize that you need the book deal to get the free editor, and if your book's not good enough to get a book deal, then you might think you need an editor. Thankfully, there are cheaper ways to get feedback. Writers groups in community or online, there's some that cost money, some are free. So that's just something to think about. I'm going to talk about, I narrowed it down 4 steps what to do once you finished your first draft. The first step to any problem is to recognize that you have a problem. And the problem here is realizing that your book isn't done. Congratulations if you finished a first draft. Most people can't even get that far. But don't start sending it out to agents quite yet. This can be the hardest step for beginning writers to get over, is to realize that it's not done, but anyone who has been through the whole process will tell you that once you've written your first draft, you're going to have to revise. So to revise, you can go into step 2, which is getting fresh eyes. You can do that by sticking it in a drawer for a while. Just don't look at it, kind of forget about it for a while, and distance yourself from the writing. The reason this is important is because writers have a tendency to marry aspects of their work. Maybe it's a character, a plot device, a sentence, even a word. The problem is that you get kind of hooked on one specific thing. Maybe you think this is like a really good word, and you're not willing to get rid of it for the sake of the novel. So that's why you need to give yourself some distance from it. And that brings me to step 3, which is revision. And a big part of revision is murder your darlings. Murder your darlings, murder your babies is something, it's a catchphrase that we hear a lot in the writing world. And that basically means that you need to sacrifice things that don't fit. I guess, yeah, if you have the most beautiful sentence in the entire world that anyone could have ever written and it doesn't fit, you have to kill it. And here's Harry Cruz. I don't think I have time to play the video, but you can check it out in your own free time. He's talking about how he wrote a novel and halfway through he made a wrong turn and didn't realize it to the end. So once he realized it, he threw that half of the novel into the fire. And he says that the true artist and the true writer, with no tear in his eye or sadness in his heart, should be willing to chuck the novel into the fire at any given time and start over. And that's completely true. If you can get to that step, it might take time, it might take practice, but if you can get there, you are well on your way to truly revising.